Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Chapel Hill. Welcome to Culbreth Middle. We're going to go ahead and get started. Not quite on time, but we thought we would give you time to get here and get settled. I'm Susan Wells, principal here at Culbreth, and we certainly welcome you and appreciate the chance to be able to chat with you about iPod Touches this morning. So for additional and ongoing conversation, we've got a reference over here. If you haven't been to that NING, I would suggest that you visit that. It's a Classroom 2.0 NING. It's a place that I'm on probably every single day. It's a conversation we started now, probably 7 or 8 months ago, iPod Touch school-wide implementation. It's about Culbreth. You can reference it through my name, Susan Wells, Lynn Goodhand. Lynn just waved back there. Lynn is our assistant principal. Through Lynn Goodhand, through her name, Val Brown. Val, where are you? Our tech coordinator. You'll hear from Val later on. So if you just use any of our names, do a search through any of our names, you can get to our name. And it's really a conversation that's just amazing because schools all over the world who are doing similar projects are talking on that NING, and it's a wonderful social network that people who are just like you in the class in schools all over the world. Lots of people from Australia, France, England are having these conversations, and certainly some of you might be having the conversations on that NING. But it's a really great source. So if you leave here and say, well, how do I find more information? That's really the first place I'd send you. Although, by the way, Apple has some good information as well, so you might want to talk to them. They have some good information on their site as well. But that's a good place to search. So, a couple of reports I want to send you to right off the bat. If you don't know this report, Pockets of Potential, raise your hand, by the way, if you do know this report. Okay, well, good. I like to share something new. That's kind of why we're at this game. The Joan Gantz Cooney Center at Sesame Workshop. We're all familiar with Sesame Workshop. This came out January of '09. By the way, this is also referenced. Much of what I'm going to share with you, again, you can find on the NING. And on our website, Culbreth website, using mobile technologies to promote children's learning. If you want to hear more about Pockets, why do we put this thing in our pocket? Why in the world would we be looking at mobile technologies? This is an outstanding source of information. I would really urge you to go read it. You can certainly look at it digitally or in a print form. You can see I've marked it all up. The other report that I would send you to is the Horizon report. Raise your hand if you're familiar with that. So some of you are familiar with the Horizon report. This is the New Media Consortium 2009 K-12 edition. Also an outstanding source of information of why we're talking about mobile technologies for K-12. This talks of 6 technologies that will have significant impact on the K-12 environment within the next 5 years. And guys, one of those 6 is mobile technologies. So that's why we're talking about this. So these are the 2 reports that right now, again, you can find this on both our Culbreth site as well as the NING. These are the reports that we're talking about now, but if you step back with us for just a moment, we started this project in the spring of '08. We didn't have these reports. These reports came out in '09, so we didn't have that information. So why did we do that? Well, we started this project because we knew that our kids needed information at hand. We knew that a lot of our kids were already carrying smartphones. Any of your kids, any of your students already carrying smartphones? Most of them are carrying phones of some sort or another? Right, of course they are. We also thought that adding additional labs of computers was problematic for lots of reasons. And you know those reasons. I'm not going to go over that, but there are lots of reasons that might not be the right choice. It might be the right choice. And in fact, if you get to come back to Culbreth, and I hope you do, we have lots of different kinds of technology, and we really like technology in lots of forms and fashions. We have mobile carts, we do that, we do some of that. We have what we call mini labs here. We have a really cool tech sandbox here that we'd love to show off to you. So we have lots and lots of cool stuff here. It's not that the mobile technology is the only thing that we use, but it is one thing that we use. Mobility seemed to be the right thing that we needed in the spring of '08, and now we've got these really cool reports that in fact support our work. So in '08, we made the decision to pilot the iPod Touches. And we piloted them initially, and Val Brown's going to talk a lot more about this, but we piloted them initially with staff and with our AVID students. Our AVID is first, you all know the AVID program, most of you. first generation university-bound students. Those were the first students we piloted with. That was about 65 students who we would have carry the iPod Touches all day, every day, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So that was kind of a self-contained group that we would be able to follow, and they would go to a specific classroom every single day, but they would carry these devices all day. We also wanted to make sure that our staff members had them, so that was the actual very, very first group that had them. We worked with our staff through a very small group, I think almost all of whom are sitting in front. Well, there are more than this, but all of you all, I think, were on that initial group. And those staff members, which were about 20, then coached with their teammates. So I just want to say, if you're looking at this project, please don't make a big spiral notebook of directions to use the iPod Touch. That's probably the wrong way to go. And by the way, with your kids, they don't need many directions at all, because they can just pick this thing up and they can tell you all about it. So, and then staff can figure it out very, very quickly. And with their teammates, with this nodding your heads, you guys give me some support. Nodding, yeah. They, you know, with their teammates, even you guys are almost all younger than I am. But anyway, you all, almost digital natives, some of you, can figure it out very, very quickly. And with your teammates, you can really, really figure it out, because you support each other in the learning. You know, hence that whole professional learning community model. So that's the model that we used for how we were going to figure this kind of project out. For teaching and learning, how are we going to use iPod Touches? So we use this beta team model and this coaching model to kind of play and create and explore with iPod Touches. That's what we did. It's really different than this idea of now let's sit and let's give you guys a bunch of handouts and a big old notebook, and I'm going to lecture to you, although I'm talking too long now. I'm going to let them talk to you in just a second, I promise. But let me lecture to you for a really long time, because I'm such an expert on this, and I'm going to impart my great knowledge. That's a really bad model. Don't you guys think so? Really? It's so boring. It is so dreadfully, dreadfully boring. And it's boring for us as adults. It's boring for kids. It's boring for adults. And really, really, with new technologies, nobody really knows all that much, or we all know about as much as everybody else does. So we should get away from that model. Okay, so with our Avid students, they piloted the program. They used the iPod Touches, and Chuck's going to talk a lot more about what they did with those. The cool thing is that we were able to collect some data. And what did the data tell us? The data told us that from one semester to the next, scores went up. That's pretty cool. And not only that, but we surveyed our kids, and we asked them, what do you think about that? What did the kids tell us? The kids said, learning is more interesting. Our classes are more interesting. We are more engaged in learning when we have iPod Touches with us. This is surveys from our kids. Our coursework is more relevant. We can find the information we need. That's pretty compelling, guys. That's pretty important. We have the tools we need to do our work. School is more fun. I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with that being important. School's more fun. School's not fun a lot of the time. We're more engaged in our class activities when we have the iPod Touch. We thought that was pretty compelling and pretty important information. We were able to add iPod Touch labs for all of our interdisciplinary teams. That was a 4-teacher team, social studies, science, language arts, and math. So we were able to add labs. So these are our 4 teams in front of you. They're going to talk about how they use those in their classrooms. We were able to add labs for our exploratory teams. That's art, music, and so on. We were able to add labs for our teams to use in terms of exceptional children, academically gifted. They're going to talk about how they use those labs. The next step for us is to move to a one-on-one environment, because really students need to have these all the time, every day, as part of their school supplies. It's like a paper and pen. It's like something we use all the time. We believe this device is just a school supply like any other school supply. That's what we've learned about it. That's what we will hope we can show you from the kinds of things teachers do with it. We believe it allows for any time, anywhere learning, social and collaborative, and extremely personal for a student's learning.